Okay, so at this point it's basically been a couple of weeks since the new season of Siege dropped, and I'm just gonna come right out and say it, the new operator, they suck. They are absolutely terrible. Their weapon absolutely sucks, it does dog shit damage, it has dog shit recoil, and their gadget functions about as well as Battle-Eye, and by that I mean it doesn't. But there was one operator this season that got a few changes, and has been receiving a few changes over the last few seasons that has made them actually one of the better operators in the season. In fact, one clickbaity motherfucker might even say that they were the best operator in the season. That person might be being hyperbolic so that you would click on the video, but that doesn't matter. That operator that I'm talking about is of course Glaz. Throughout today's video, we're going to be taking a look at how Glaz has been changed in recent times and how you can go about playing him. If you do go on to enjoy this video, of course, then a like on the video and a subscribe to the channel is greatly appreciated. The sniper category of character has never really fit as perfectly into Siege as it does into other games. Most of the gunfights in this game take place at around about 10 meters or so, and so an operator that can see people from 50 meters away isn't too useful all the time. Glaz used to be confined to this category, and so most Glaz mains would typically sit on an outside structure of the map and try and snipe in throughout the whole round. Most of the time this would result in them not getting any kills and not helping their teammates whatsoever. To help remedy this, Ubisoft have given Glaz a whole host of different buffs over the years to try and help him escape this niche. The most recent of which being the addition of the Bearing 9 to his loadout, and the fact that he's now a in 3-speed. Overall, they've put Glaz in a really interesting position to where he's really good at holding really long angles, especially when it's through smoke, but at the same time they know that that's not exactly going to happen a lot, so they've given him a lot that he can do at close range as well. In other words, there's basically two different operators that you get with Glaz. There's the sniper side that is really good at holding really long angles and can pick people off through smoke in very specific situations, and then there's Ash 2.0. Let's start off by looking at the sniper side. So obviously Glaz is supposed to primarily function as a sniper, that's why his thermal ability also gives him a 4x scope. The core of Glaz is built around this ability and built around holding really long angles, possibly through smoke. And so that is supposed to be his primary function, although as I did mention, those situations where Glaz is going to be useful at long ranges or is going to be able to shoot people through smoke don't arise all that often. Those situations usually arise towards the end of the round when the diffuser is being planted, and since the diffuser doesn't get planted every single round, it doesn't mean that Glaz is going to be useful every single round. Since Ubisoft knows about this and knows that Glaz's ability is such a situational one, they basically put another operator inside of him. You see, now that Glaz is a 3-speed with the Bearing 9 and frag grenades, he can basically do whatever he wants when he's not holding an angle with his thermal scope. Before he had the Bearing 9, the only close range options he had was his sniper without the scope on, or the PMM, both of which are decent at close range, but the Bearing 9 is is really good. The so-called Ash 2.0 side of Glaz should basically be your default way of playing Glaz, and you should be using that up until you find an opportunity where you can use the thermal scope and the sniper really effectively. A lot of Glaz players that I've seen have this completely backwards and try and find every opportunity possible to try and use their sniper and their thermal scope, but in doing that you can get very easily caught up into using the thermal scope throughout the entire round and ending up not doing a lot for your team, since the thermal scope, as I've said many times, isn't applicable to every situation. Let me give you an example. So we're going to start off by looking at an attack round on Hooker Billiard's site on Coastline. Now this is a very popular map and a popular site to attack for Glazes because the ruin spawn allows you to see straight into sight from an elevated position. Since it's such a perfect opportunity to use the thermal scope that, as I said, don't always arise, I seized the opportunity to try and pick someone off, and I actually managed to do so. After I get this kill, I sit on ruins for about another 30 seconds, trying to get a kill, but to no avail. Two of the defenders actually started to shoot out at me, and I could see how it was going to end. If I had remained up there any longer, they probably would have headshot me, and I would have only resulted in one kill for the team. Now, one kill ain't bad, but when I still have 2 frag grenades and 2 drones in my pocket, it is kind of a waste of utility. And so it's at which point that I decide to vault off of ruins and go for an actual play onto the site with my Bearing 9. This actually turned out to be the best decision, considering that it actually came down to a 2v2, and had I still been on ruins at that point, then my teammate basically would have had no help whatsoever. I try a couple of ceiling nades in some default places to no avail, at which point it comes down to a 2v2 when the Nomad pushes up blue stairs and dies to the Jaeger, and I think the rest of the round speaks for itself. Had this been last season where Glaz didn't have access to the Bearing 9 and wasn't as quiet as a 3-speed operator, I do not win that round. Alright, next up we're going to look at an example that I think helps illustrate a different way of using Glaz's sniper other than killing people. We're attacking the ventilation site on the first floor of Border, and you might think that seems like a weird place to bring a Glaz. Yeah, it is. But as you'll see, it actually works out in our favor because of the abilities of Glaz's DMR. My plan for this round was to try and clear out the Kaid who was above sight, since I knew that he would probably screw us over if we tried to go for a plant. As it turns out, he's the only one who's playing above sight, and so he's not going to peek me if he doesn't have to, which means that I have to go in and push him. I don't waste too much time outside trying to play a long angle that's not going to result in any kills, and instead I use Glaz's sniper to 3-shot down a barricade and jump straight in and kill him with the bearing 9. Shooting down the barricade that quickly gave the Kaid such little time to react that I actually managed to kill him even though I was at a disadvantage by vaulting in. Immediately after, we get another example of how Glaz's sniper can be used for destructibility, which is soft hatches. It only takes me around 5 shots to completely destroy the hatch near instantaneously, and once I drop down it actually leads me to the final 2 kills. I put some pressure on this defender who was in tellers using a nade and a couple of shots from the sniper, and then I rotate round and kill him with the bearing 9. At which point the diffuser goes down and I hear the final enemy who's close by to me, and then he rushes into my sniper at point blank range. So those 2 examples should hopefully give you a decent idea on how you should go about playing Glaz in 2022. It's basically just a lot of waiting for the right opportunity to use your thermal scope instead of trying to make opportunities to use it. It's very easy to overuse the thermal scope, and so you're going to be wanting to run around with the bearing 9 until you find an opportunity to do so. And take advantage of that 3-speed rating that he now has by playing more aggressive and using his sniper to bust down barricades and soft hatches, as well as clearing some utility with your frag grenades along the way. But that is just gonna about do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed and I hope you managed to get something out of it. If you did, then a like on the video and a subscribe to the channel is greatly appreciated as always. You can find my Instagram and Twitter on screen right now, except I don't use any of them, so it's kind of pointless. But that's it for me. I'll catch you in the next one.